The vast darkness of space stretched endlessly in all directions. Stars twinkled like distant lanterns, cold and silent. Captain Elias Vance sat in the pilot's seat of his ship, the Odyssey, sipping a cup of lukewarm coffee. He had seen many things in his years traveling the stars: pirates, smugglers, alien wars, but nothing truly surprised him anymore. Until now. A distress signal flickered on his dashboard. It was weak, almost fading. Someone out there was in trouble. Elias frowned. Distress signals in deep space were dangerous. They could be traps. Pirates often lured ships in, hoping for an easy target. Most smart captains ignored them. But Elias wasn't most captains. With a sigh, he set his coffee down and ran a hand through his short brown hair. All right, let's see what kind of trouble this is. He tapped a few buttons, scanning for the source. The signal came from a small escape pod, floating aimlessly in the void. The pod was badly damaged, its thrusters dead. Whoever was inside had little time left. Well, Elias muttered, guess I'm playing hero today. With careful precision, he piloted the Odyssey closer. The pod was covered in scorch marks, clearly attacked. He activated the ship's mechanical arm and brought the pod into the cargo bay. As soon as it was inside, he rushed down the metal corridors to check on his unexpected guest. The pod's door was slightly open, smoke seeping out. Elias grabbed a tool and forced it open the rest of the way. Inside, a figure lay unconscious. A woman, but not human. Her skin was pale violet, her long silver hair matted with sweat. She wore an elegant but torn suit, decorated with strange golden symbols. Elias recognized the design. She was Ziyari, one of the galaxy's most advanced species. They were powerful, rich, and wanted nothing to do with humans. Great, Elias muttered. I saved royalty. The woman stirred, her eyelids fluttering open. Her bright golden eyes locked onto him, filled with confusion and fear. You are human, she whispered weakly. Yeah, and you're lucky I am, Elias replied, kneeling beside her. You're safe, for now. What happened? She tried to sit up but winced in pain. Her body was covered in bruises. I was escaping. They are hunting me. Who's they? Before she could answer, the ship's warning alarms blared loudly. A red light flashed across the walls. Incoming vessel detected. The AI voice announced. Unknown warship approaching at high speed. Elias's stomach tightened. Trouble had found them fast. He looked back at the alien woman. She was breathing heavily, fear clear on her face. They found me, she whispered. Elias clenched his jaw. He could have ignored the distress signal. He could have left her to die. But he didn't. And now he had a choice. Hand her over. Stay out of it. Or fight. Elias stood up, cracking his knuckles. He had never been good at walking away. Looks like I just made some new enemies, he said, turning toward the cockpit. Strap in, princess. We're not going down without a fight. The Odyssey's warning alarms echoed through the metal corridors, red lights flashing. Elias rushed to the cockpit, his heart pounding. The alien woman, Tivani, as she had weakly introduced herself, was still in the cargo bay, struggling to sit up. But there was no time to check on her. Elias slid into his pilot's seat and brought up the scanners. A warship was closing in, fast. It was big, twice the size of his vessel. Sleek black metal, sharp angles, and glowing red thrusters. Not just any ship. A Ziyari Hunter-class cruiser. His jaw tightened. That wasn't good. A crackling voice came through the speakers. Unidentified human vessel. This is Commander Vorkish of the Ziyari Dominion. You are carrying a fugitive. Power down your ship and surrender her immediately. Elias exhaled sharply. He tapped a few controls, switching off communications. Nope. He didn't know the full story yet, but one thing was clear. Tivani was running from these people, and Elias wasn't about to hand her over to the first person who demanded it. Behind him, the door hissed open. Tivani stumbled into the cockpit, gripping the wall for support. Her violet skin looked even paler than before, and pain was clear in her golden eyes. You must let me go," she said, breathless. "They will not stop." Elias didn't turn from the controls. "Yeah, I got that part already." He tapped several switches, warming up the ship's engines. "Thing is, I don't like bullies, and I really don't like being told what to do." Tivani looked at him in disbelief. You would fight them. You would risk your life for me." Elias grinned. "Why not? Someone's got to do it." Before she could argue, the ship lurched violently. The Zayari cruiser had locked onto them with a tractor beam. The Odyssey's engines roared in protest, but the massive warship was dragging them in like a spider pulling its prey into a web. "All right," Elias muttered, gripping the controls. "Plan B." "Plan B?" Tivani asked, her voice trembling. Elias reached over and flicked several buttons. "Yeah, we don't get caught." Suddenly, the Odyssey shut down completely. The engines died. The lights flickered off. The entire ship went dark and silent. Tivani's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" Elias smirked in the dim light. "Trust me." From outside, the Zayari cruiser's commander watched the human ship go completely dead. "Sir," a crew member said, "their power signature just disappeared." Commander Vorkish frowned. "Did they self-destruct?" The Odyssey hung lifeless in space, drifting like a broken husk. The tractor beam kept pulling it in, closer, closer. And then, boom! A massive explosion erupted from the back of the Odyssey. The ship lurched forward at full speed, breaking free from the tractor beam's grip. Sparks and debris flew as Elias punched the thrusters, sending them hurtling away from the enemy vessel. On the Zayari cruiser's bridge, alarms blared. How? Their ship was dead. Commander Vorkish slammed his fist against the control panel. "He tricked us." Back on the Odyssey, Tivani gripped the co-pilot's seat, staring at Elias in shock. That was impossible." Elias grinned, eyes focused on the controls. "Nah, just a little trick humans call playing dead. Cut all power, make 'em think we're finished, then hit 'em when they least expect it." Tivani shook her head in amazement. "You are reckless." "Yep," Elias said, dodging laser fire as the cruiser tried to catch up. "But it works." The ship rocked as enemy cannons fired at them. Shields dropped to 40%. "We won't last long," Tivani warned. Elias's mind worked fast. He couldn't outgun a Zayari warship, but maybe he could outrun them. He glanced at the star maps, searching for options. Then he saw it, a nearby asteroid field. Thick, unstable, deadly. "Perfect. Hold on," he shouted. Tivani barely had time to react before the Odyssey dove into the asteroid field at full speed. Behind them, the Zayari cruiser hesitated. Their ship was too big to follow at full speed. If they chased blindly, they'd crash. Elias weaved through the massive space rocks, barely squeezing through gaps that no Zayari pilot would dare attempt. Tivani clutched her seat. "You are insane." Elias grinned. "Yeah, but it's fun, isn't it?" After several tense minutes, the Zayari warship gave up. The last message from their commander crackled through the speakers. "You cannot run forever, human. We will find her again." Then silence. Elias let out a breath. They had escaped. Tivani stared at him, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke. You saved me." Elias leaned back, smirking. "Guess I did." Tivani lowered her head, something strange in her golden eyes. For the first time in her life, someone had fought for her, not for power, not for politics, but simply because it was right. And that changed everything. The Odyssey drifted quietly through the asteroid field, hidden among the floating rocks. The Zayari warship had left, but Elias knew they weren't safe yet. He tapped a few buttons on the control panel, scanning for any tracking devices. If the enemy had tagged them, running wouldn't matter. they'd be found again. Behind him, Tivani sat in the co-pilot's seat, her golden eyes watching him carefully. Her body was still weak from her injuries, but she had stopped trembling. There was something different in her expression. "Yup," Elias said, guiding the ship toward the docking bay. "Nobody asks questions here. You got money, you get a room. You got a problem, you pay someone to fix it. Simple rules." Tivani frowned. "It sounds unpleasant." Elias smirked. "That's why it works." As the ship landed, a message came through the comms. "Welcome to Station Haven. Docking fees are 500 credits. Pay now or leave." Elias rolled his eyes and tapped a button. Yeah, take your money." The docking clamps locked in place. They had arrived. Strangers in a strange place. Elias and Tivani stepped out of the ship, the air thick with the smell of engine fuel and cheap food. The docking bay was filled with travelers, aliens of all kinds, moving between ships, checking cargo, arguing over deals. Tivani pulled the hood of her cloak over her silver hair. "Will they recognize me?" she asked, her voice low. Elias shook his head. "Not likely. This place sees thousands of travelers every day. As long as you don't act like a lost princess, no one will notice." Tivani shot him a glare. "I am not a princess." Elias chuckled. "Could have fooled me." They made their way through the crowd, stepping into the heart of the station. Holograms flashed advertisements in a dozen languages. Market stalls lined the walls, selling everything from starship parts to questionable weapons. Loud music blasted from nearby bars. Tivani glanced around, uneasy. "I do not belong here." Elias shrugged. "Neither do I. That's the beauty of it. A deal for information." They entered a dimly lit cantina called the Rusted Star. The air smelled of smoke and old metal, and the low hum of conversations filled the room. Elias led Tivani to a table in the back. "Wait here," he said. "I need to talk to someone." Before she could protest, he walked to the bar and nodded at the bartender, a bulky, four-armed alien with glowing green eyes. "Elias," the bartender grunted. "Thought you were dead." "Not yet," Elias said, sliding a credit chip across the counter. "I need information. You know if the Ziyari are sniffing around." The bartender pocketed the chip and leaned in. "Word is, they're offering a bounty. Big one. They want some runaway noble." Elias's stomach tightened. "How big?" "Enough to make even the smart people stupid," the bartender said. He eyed Elias. "That wouldn't happen to be you they're looking for, would it?" Elias forced a grin. "Me? Nah. I'm just here for a drink." The bartender chuckled. "Sure you are. Be careful, Elias. This station may not have rules, but it has eyes." Elias nodded and returned to the table. Tivani studied his face. "What did you learn?" Elias sighed. "Bad news. The Ziyari put a price on your head. If anyone finds out who you are, we're in trouble." Tivani's expression hardened. "I cannot let them capture me. I would rather." She stopped herself. Elias leaned forward. "Rather what?" She hesitated. "It does not matter. We need a plan." The unwanted attention. Before Elias could respond, a group of armored figures entered the cantina. They moved with purpose, scanning the crowd. Their leader, a tall, scarred human with cybernetic eyes, spoke loudly. "Listen up. We're looking for someone. Ziyari. Silver hair. Anyone seen her?" The room fell silent. People glanced at one another, but no one spoke. Elias cursed under his breath. They were too late. Someone had tipped them off. Tivani tensed. "What do we do?" Elias took her hand and squeezed it. "Follow my lead. And whatever happens, don't panic." The bounty hunters started moving through the room, checking faces. They were getting closer. Elias took a deep breath, forcing a relaxed smile. "Time for another gamble." "Guess we're about to find out how good I am at lying," he muttered. Tivani stared at him, unsure whether to be terrified or impressed. The rusted Star Cantina was dead silent as the bounty hunters moved through the crowd, scanning faces. Their leader, a tall man with cybernetic eyes, stopped at the center of the room and spoke in a low, dangerous voice. "We know she's here. Silver-haired Zayari woman. Hand her over, and we'll forget this ever happened." Elias could feel Tivani tense beside him. She was scared, but she didn't panic. That was good. Panicking got people killed. He leaned toward her and whispered, "Follow my lead. Trust me." She nodded slightly, though uncertainty flickered in her golden eyes. The bounty hunters were getting closer, questioning the patrons one by one. A few greedy-looking aliens glanced in their direction, but no one spoke up yet. Elias knew they had seconds before someone sold them out. So he did something reckless. He stood up. "Hey," he called out, waving toward the bounty hunters. "I think I saw your girl." Tivani's eyes widened in shock, but she kept quiet. The leader turned toward Elias, his cybernetic eyes glowing red. "You saw her?" "Yeah," Elias said, nodding casually. "About 5 minutes ago. She rushed out the back door, heading toward the lower docking bays. Looked like she was in a hurry." The bounty hunter narrowed his eyes. "You sure?" Elias shrugged. "Not every day you see a silver-haired Zayari. She definitely fit the description." The bounty hunter studied Elias for a long moment, then turned to his men. "You two, check the lower docks." Now, 2 of them rushed out. The leader turned back to Elias. "If you're lying, human, I'll make sure you regret it." Elias smirked. "Wouldn't dream of it." The bounty hunter gave him one last suspicious glare, then followed his men out. As soon as they were gone, Elias grabbed Tivani's wrist. "We need to move. Now." A desperate escape. They slipped out of the cantina's side entrance, blending into the crowded streets of Station Haven. The neon lights overhead flickered as they hurried through winding alleyways and past busy market stalls. Tivani finally spoke. "That was dangerous." Elias grinned. "Yeah, but it worked, didn't it?" She shook her head. "You are far too reckless." "Reckless keeps us alive," Elias said, leading her into a dark storage area near the docks. "We need to get back to the Odyssey before they realize I lied." Tivani hesitated. "And then what?" Elias sighed. "Then we figure out our next move. But first, let's not die." They continued moving through the station, avoiding main roads and security checkpoints. Elias knew the bounty hunters would eventually realize the truth and come looking again. And they wouldn't be fooled twice. A new problem. As they approached the docking bay, Elias slowed down. Something wasn't right. Tivani noticed it too. "Where is everyone?" she whispered. The usually busy docking area was eerily empty. The doors to the Odyssey were already open. Elias's stomach dropped. Someone had gotten there first. Before he could react, a voice echoed through the docking bay. "Going somewhere, Captain." Elias turned slowly. Standing near his ship was a Zayari officer, flanked by 4 heavily armed soldiers. Her uniform was sleek, her silver hair tied back in a tight braid. Her violet skin marked her as nobility. Tivani stiffened. "Commander Lyrian." Lyrian smirked. "Ah, Tivani, there you are." Elias cursed under his breath. This was bad. The truth revealed. Lyrian stepped forward. "You caused quite a mess, human. Stealing Zayari property. Aiding a fugitive. Do you even know who she is?" Elias crossed his arms. "I know you were trying to kill her. That's enough for me." Lyrian chuckled. "Kill her?" "Oh no, Captain. You misunderstand. Tivani is not just some fugitive." She turned to Tivani, her expression cold. "You should tell him, my lady." Elias frowned. "My lady?" He glanced at Tivani. "What is she talking about?" Tivani looked away, guilt in her golden eyes. Elias's stomach sank. She had been hiding something. Lyrian smirked. She is not just any Zayari. She is the heir to the Dominion throne. Elias's eyes widened. What? Tivani finally spoke, her voice quiet. It is true. I was the crown heiress, but I fled. I refused the arranged marriage they forced upon me. Elias ran a hand through his hair. So let me get this straight. I've been risking my life, running from bounty hunters, fighting off warships, for a runaway princess. Tivani flinched at the word, but nodded. Yes. Elias let out a long sigh. Of course, because my life wasn't complicated enough already. A risky decision. Lyrian smiled. Now, human, be reasonable. Hand her over, and we will let you live. She belongs to us. Elias glanced at Tivani. She looked afraid. Not for herself, but for him. He exhaled slowly. He could walk away. Let her go. Stay alive. But then he remembered something she had said before. I would rather die than go back. Elias sighed. Yeah, see, I have a problem with people telling me what to do. Before Lyrian could react, Elias drew his blaster and fired. The shot hit one of the soldiers, sending the others diving for cover. Run, Elias shouted, grabbing Tivani's hand. They sprinted toward the Odyssey, dodging gunfire as alarms blared through the docking bay. Elias slammed his fist on the ship's controls, yelling, "Take off, take off, take off." The Odyssey's engines roared to life, lifting off as bullets bounced off the hull. As they shot out of the station, Elias collapsed into his seat, breathing hard. Tivani turned to him. You didn't have to do that." Elias smirked. "Yeah, I did. You're my problem now, princess." Tivani stared at him. Then, for the first time, she smiled. The chase wasn't over, but they were in this together now. The Odyssey shot through space, leaving Station Haven behind. The alarms and gunfire were fading, but Elias knew they weren't safe yet. "Hold on," he shouted as he yanked the controls. The ship spun sideways, dodging a burst of plasma fire from the Zayari warship that had been waiting outside the station. Tivani clutched the seat beside him. "They are still chasing us." "Yeah, I noticed," Elias muttered, his fingers flying over the control panel. The ship's engines roared as he pushed them to their limits. The Zayari warship fired again. A blast of energy shot past them, shaking the ship violently. "Shields at 30%, the ship's AI warned. Elias gritted his teeth. "This is bad." Tivani turned to him. "There must be something we can do." Elias's mind raced. The Zayari ship was too strong. If they tried to outrun it, they'd be shot down. If they turned and fought, they'd be overwhelmed. They needed a third option. Then he saw it, a massive asteroid field ahead. Elias grinned. "Hold on tight, princess. This is gonna get rough." Before she could protest, he dove straight into the asteroid field. A deadly race. The ship weaved between giant rocks, barely avoiding collisions. Huge chunks of space debris spun wildly, some the size of entire buildings. The Zayari warship followed, firing blindly into the field. But the asteroid made it difficult. Their large ship couldn't move as fast as the Odyssey. Tivani's hands gripped the seat tightly. "You are insane." Elias laughed. "Yeah, but it's working." The ship zigzagged through the deadly maze. Plasma blasts from the Zayari ship slammed into asteroids, causing explosions that sent debris flying. Elias's heart pounded. One wrong move, and they'd be space dust. But then, a warning light flashed on the screen. "Oh," Elias muttered. Tivani's eyes widened. "What?" Elias pointed at the screen. "We've got company. Trapped like prey." A second ship appeared on the radar, a pirate vessel. Tivani's breath caught. "Pirates? Here?" Elias grimaced. "This sector is full of them. Looks like they think we're easy prey." The pirate ship blocked their path, its weapons charging. Meanwhile, the Zayari warship closed in from behind. Tivani's voice was urgent. "We are trapped." Elias exhaled. "Not yet." A risky plan. He opened the comms channel. "Hey, pirate friends. You might want to rethink this," Elias said, forcing a casual tone. "That big warship behind us. Yeah, they're after us. But if you attack, you'll be their next target." Silence. Then, a voice crackled over the speakers. "Nice try, human. But your ship is worth a fortune." Elias smirked. "Sure. But is it worth fighting an entire Zayari warship?" Another silence. The pirate captain was thinking. Then the voice came back. You got a deal, human. You owe me one." Tivani gasped as the pirate ship suddenly turned and fired on the Zayari warship. The Zayari were caught off guard. Explosions rocked their shields. Elias took the chance. "Now's our shot." He slammed the controls, sending the Odyssey into a steep dive. The ship raced downward, slipping between two asteroids. Tivani's heart pounded. Will they follow? Elias grinned. Not if they're too busy fighting. Behind them, the pirate ship and the Zayari warship exchanged fire. The asteroid field became a battle zone. And the Odyssey, it was gone. The aftermath. Minutes later, they emerged from the asteroid field into the vastness of open space. Tivani slumped in her seat, breathing hard. We survived." Elias chuckled, running a hand through his hair. "Told you I was good." She shook her head, amazed. "I do not understand you, Elias. You risk everything for me. Even now, when you know who I really am." Elias leaned back. "Yeah, well, it's not about who you are, princess. It's about what's right." Tivani stared at him. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. No one had ever chosen her over their own safety. A small, soft smile formed on her lips. For the first time, she realized, she trusted him. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. The Odyssey floated in the quiet vastness of space, far from the chaos of the asteroid field. The damage reports flashed on the screen. Shields low, fuel reserves dropping, minor hull damage. But they had survived. Elias leaned back in his seat, letting out a long breath. That was too close. Tivani sat beside him, her golden eyes still wide with disbelief. "I cannot believe we escaped. The Zayari Dominion does not give up easily." Elias smirked. "Well, lucky for us, I don't give up easily either." Tivani's gaze softened as she studied him. "You really are different from any human I have ever met." Elias raised an eyebrow. "You've met a lot of humans." She shook her head. "No, but I have heard stories. The Zayari always say humans are unpredictable, reckless, dangerous." Elias chuckled. "Well, they got 2 out of 3 right." Tivani smiled slightly. It was the first time she had smiled so openly since they met. Then her expression became serious again. "Elias, I must ask you something important." Elias sat up. "Go ahead." She hesitated, then said, "Why did you do it? Why did you risk everything to help me?" Elias shrugged. Seemed like the right thing to do. Tivani shook her head. "No, it was more than that. You had every reason to walk away. You had no obligation to help me." Elias sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Look, I don't like seeing people trapped, controlled. I know what that feels like. And when I saw you, I knew you weren't just running away. You were fighting for your freedom." Tivani's breath caught. "You understand." Elias nodded. "Yeah." For a long moment, they just sat there, the hum of the ship filling the silence. A new path. Tivani turned to the control panel. "So, where do we go now?" Elias sighed. "Well, the Zayari will keep hunting you. Staying in known space is dangerous." She nodded. "There is a place, a neutral planet called Kalos Prime. It is far, and the Dominion holds no power there." Elias raised an eyebrow. A safe place for royalty on the run. Tigani smiled slightly. Something like that. Elias leaned back. All right. Kalos Prime it is. He reached for the navigation controls, but then Tivani placed her hand on his. Elias, she said softly. He looked at her, surprised. Her golden eyes were filled with something he hadn't seen before. Trust, hope, and something more. I need to ask you one more thing, she said. Elias chuckled. You're full of questions today, princess. She took a deep breath. This journey is not over. I do not know what the future holds, but I do not want to face it alone. Elias blinked. You're asking me to stick around. Tivani nodded. Yes, I need someone I can trust. Someone who does not see me as a title or a burden. Elias thought for a moment, then smirked. Well, I guess I've already gotten used to having you around. Tivani's expression softened. So, you will stay. Elias looked at her, then at the vastness of space before them. He sighed, then smiled. Yeah, I'll stay. Tivani's eyes lit up with relief and gratitude. For the first time in her life, she wasn't running alone. And Elias, for the first time in a long time, he felt like he had something worth fighting for. As the Odyssey jumped into hyperspace, leaving their past behind, both of them knew this was just the beginning.